Inside a quiet laboratory, an octopus was placed into a tank. Nothing unusual at first, just water, glass walls, and a creature that most people would never describe as intelligent. Then the scientists added something else. A jar. The lid was tightly sealed. Inside the jar was food. The setup was simple. The assumption was even simpler. The octopus would try and fail. Because opening a sealed container requires planning, coordination, and problem-solving. Skills we usually associate with humans, or at least with animals that have complex brains. But this animal didn't even have a backbone. And what happened next forced scientists to rethink everything they thought they knew about intelligence. At first, the octopus approached the jar cautiously. Its arms moved slowly, almost as if it was studying the object, not reacting, observing. Each tentacle explored a different part of the surface, feeling, testing, learning. Then something changed. Instead of pulling randomly or giving up, the octopus focused on the lid. It began to twist, not once, repeatedly, adjusting its grip each time. Within minutes, the jar opened. The food was gone, and the scientists watching were left with a question they couldn't easily answer. How did it know what to do? This wasn't supposed to happen. For a long time, intelligence was measured in a very specific way. Big brains, complex social structures, language, mammals. Octopuses didn't fit that model. They live alone. They have short lifespans, and their brains are structured completely differently from ours. But what makes them extraordinary isn't just their intelligence. It's how that intelligence works. An octopus has around 500 million neurons. That's similar to a dog. But here's the part that changes everything. More than half of those neurons aren't in the brain. They're in the arms, which means each arm can process information on its own. Each arm can decide. Each arm can act. Almost like having 8 separate minds working together. Imagine trying to open a jar. Now imagine doing it with 8 independent limbs, each capable of thinking for itself. That's what the octopus is doing, not just reacting, coordinating, solving. And the jar experiment wasn't a one-time event. Octopuses have repeatedly demonstrated the ability to open containers, escape enclosures, navigate mazes, and remember solutions long after the first attempt. In some labs, octopuses have escaped their tanks, traveled across the floor, entered other tanks to eat fish, and then returned to their own tank before anyone noticed. Not by accident, but deliberately. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Because intelligence isn't just about solving problems. It's about using knowledge in new situations. And in the wild, octopuses do something that was once thought to be uniquely human. They use tools. In certain parts of the ocean, octopuses have been observed collecting coconut shells. At first, it looks random. They pick them up, carry them across the seafloor, then leave them. But later, when danger appears, they return to those shells, assemble them, and use them as shelter. That's not instinct. That's planning for the future. And planning requires something deeper. It requires the ability to imagine a situation that hasn't happened yet, to prepare for it, to act in advance. But intelligence isn't just about behavior. It's also about personality. And this is where octopuses become even more fascinating. In controlled environments, scientists notice something unexpected. Different octopuses behave differently, so are curious. They would explore new objects immediately. Others were cautious. They would observe from a distance. Some were aggressive, some playful. Each one had a distinct pattern of behavior, a personality. Even more surprising, they could recognize individual humans. Octopuses treated different people differently. A person who regularly fed them would be approached. A person who irritated them would be avoided or even attacked. They remembered. They learned. They adapted. And all of this comes from a creature that lives only a few years. A creature with no social structure, no culture in the traditional sense, no long-term learning from others, which raises an important question. If intelligence doesn't require a human-like brain, then what is intelligence really? For a long time, we believed intelligence followed a single path, from simple to complex, from animals to humans. But the octopus suggests something very different. It suggests that intelligence can evolve independently. in completely different forms, with completely different structures. Humans develop intelligence through social interaction, language, cooperation, but octopuses evolved in isolation, in darkness, in environments where survival depended on immediate problem solving. Different environments, different pressures, different outcomes. But the result is still intelligence. And that changes how we see the world, because it means intelligence isn't rare. It's not limited. It's not even predictable. It can emerge anywhere, in any form, as long as survival demands it. And once you understand that, you start to notice something. The world is full of intelligence, not just in animals, but in systems, in behaviors, in patterns we often ignore. The octopus isn't just an exception. It's a reminder that we don't fully understand what intelligence really is. And maybe we're not supposed to, because intelligence isn't something that belongs to one species. It's something that emerges wherever life finds a way to survive. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to Neurofacts TV, because the most fascinating discoveries aren't always the ones we expect. Sometimes they're the ones hiding in plain sight.